Hi, my name's Mark Gordon. I'm a professional engineer. I've been in local government and consulting for most of my working life, and over the past 25 years I've been actively involved in Lifelines here in Christchurch in Canterbury. Yeah, that day you'll see behind the Bridge of Remembrance there's a building amongst the trees. That used to be an 8-storey building called DTZ House, and we occupied the 6th floor of that building. What I can remember at 12:51 p.m, being in my office and getting this massive boom from underneath. I actually got a chair and put it over my head and crouched down to protect myself. In the meantime, the building was rocking and rolling as it did for half a minute or a minute, whatever it was. We managed to get ourselves safely outside and make sure everyone was safe and well. And I think around that time I bumped into one of our quantity surveyors, and he'd actually been outside the building at a cafe, and he jumped under the table and looked back at our building, compared it with a table leg, and said that building moved 1 to 2 metres across. It had bent. So we felt extremely lucky to actually have got out alive. Yeah, after I'd spent some time at the Emergency Ops Centre, I thought it was time to find my way home. And home for me at that time was the Port Hills above Redcliffe, looking over McCormick's Bay. And as you could probably imagine, cell phones weren't working very well. I couldn't get hold of my wife, she couldn't get hold of me. Our house, which was further up the hill, was a new house, and that was pretty shattering actually, because it had had a lot of earthquake damage. We couldn't live in it. Out where we were on the hills, the vibrations are just intense, and it's not what I understood earthquakes to be. So that's a huge wake-up call for what an earthquake directly underneath you can feel like. So there's actually 2 parts to Lifelines, and one part is the projects and the work that we did in looking ahead. That's kind of thinking about readiness and what we call reduction, fixing things before they might break. But another important part of Lifelines is response. September saw big parts of particularly our water supply and our stormwater and our sewage network damaged, but in February they were virtually obliterated. And part of our function is we've got work to do. We need to respond to this. We need to do the things that we've prepared ourselves to do, understand the damage, what's happened, how it's affected people, what my role is in civil defence and helping out there, and bringing a team of people to help with that, that immediate response process going forward over the next days, weeks and months and years ahead into recovery. Part of Lifelines and the work we do is actually getting to know each other, not just understanding how the networks would fare, but knowing the people and that sense of common purpose, if you like, that there's a challenge here, and together we've got to get through this, rebuild our infrastructure, because it's infrastructure that provides the service to people, enables us all to live. So I think from that perspective it certainly brought our kind of professional communities together as well. If we think about the public and the role of the engineer, our role is often hidden, isn't it? Because the pipes are buried, the roads are covered up, I turn on the tap, the electricity works, and I think we're all probably guilty of it, if you like. We all just take those things for granted. It's like the cell phone. My cell phone's not working, I can't get internet, it's a tragedy. But actually it's dependent on a whole lot of infrastructure working. We really are reliant on our infrastructure networks, and in some places they're quite vulnerable, they're quite fragile. We've got to make sure that we're good at communicating and talking with our communities and finding ways to communicate our ideas and our thinking and what we know into terms that they can understand and make sense of. That, it is the stuff that we can't see, but it's so important that we have people that look after it.